Hey, thanks for downloading Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan. On today's show, join us as two old DJs play a hot game of Name That Tune. It's fun.
Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan features two radio professionals with over 100 years of broadcasting experience between them. Dave Hogan and Randy Houston are both native Western North Carolinians whose rich voices have been heard in every glade, cove, and holler of Western North Carolina and East Tennessee, primarily on AM radio. And between the two of them, they've worked in just about every radio format. As you can imagine, these guys have tons of stories about the day-to-day of live radio and the interactions they've had with listeners and entertainers while they were immersed in, at the time, one of the most influential and informative mediums available. Those experiences will be featured in this podcast series. Check the subscribe button wherever you get your podcasts with Randy and Dave on Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan.
Thank you for tuning in to Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan. I'm Randy Houston.
And this is Dave Hogan, and a howdy from Hogan Holler.
Hey, buddy, it's good to have you. Good to hear your voice. Good to talk with you a little bit more about the game that we love to play, and that is radio. I'm still playing it, and Dave retired from it after 57 years on the air. Was that right?
That's right.
57 years in broadcasting.
Yeah, loved every minute of it.
Oh, me too. Willie Nelson said, somebody asked him, are you going to retire? And he says, from what? And I feel the same way. From what?
I brought you a book.
You did, and I can't wait to read it.
Called The Life of Bill Monroe. Can't You Hear Me Calling? Bill Monroe, the father of bluegrass music. And, you know, we had Bill Anderson on one of our a couple of our podcasts. Matter of fact,
right?
Country Music Hall of Famer Bill Anderson. And Bill's a big baseball fan, as am I. I think we talked maybe a little baseball.
Yeah, you did.
During the podcast. And you know, back in, I guess going back as far as baseball goes back, a lot of communities had baseball teams, and a lot of industries had baseball teams.
Talk about it on our my radio show now on WHKP. Back in the day, Berkeley Mill. Berkeley Mill is still in operation and one of the largest employers in Henderson County. They had a baseball league in the day.
Exactly.
And a field.
Now, what does that have to do with Bill Monroe?
Okay.
Well, now, Bill Monroe was a huge baseball fan. And he would have a baseball game before his concerts. He had the Bluegrass Boys Ball Club, which consisted of band members and ringer athletes that he would bring in.
He would run a ringer in
to put on his team. And they would go to a town, and like I said, most every town had a baseball team. And they would go to these towns as they traveled, and he would check ahead of time if you got a baseball team there. And, of course, most of them did. And they'd have a local team to play the Bluegrass Boys before the concert. And the baseball game was as big a draw in the early days as the concerts.
That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's in this book, and you'll enjoy reading this book. And
I'm looking forward to it.
Stories about Bill Monroe, about growing up, and the father of bluegrass music. You know, if Bill Monroe had been in North Carolina, it would be the Carolina music, or instead of bluegrass music, or Tar Heel music.
There you go.
Yeah,
Tar Heel music. The Kentucky bluegrass. Yeah.
You and I were chatting about country music's one-hit wonders. Tell everybody what a one-hit wonder is.
Gosh, it's really pretty easy. It's the artist who came upon a song and a recording and a production of one particular song that hit the charts and hit it big, and they never could put together a second base hit. They couldn't get around the bases again. And
I was looking at some of the pop or rock and roll one-hit wonders. Remember the song Monster Mash?
Oh, yeah.
Bobby Pickett.
Yep.
Another one-hit wonder.
And the Crypt Kicker Five. That was the name of his band. Bobby Pickett and the Crypt Kicker Five.
I didn't know that. Little Peggy March. Remember, I Will Follow Him?
Oh, yeah.
Jewel Akins and Let Me Tell You About the Birds and the Bees and the flowers and the trees.
That was a one hit? I didn't realize that.
Jewel Akins, a one-hit wonder. Remember the Singing Nun and Dominique?
Yes. Don't remember the words.
Well, it was in French, so I don't either. I mastered the title, though. Dominique. Remember the hit song called Me and Mrs. Jones?
I do vaguely.
Billy Paul.
Okay.
And that was a one-hit wonder. Terry Jackson, Seasons in the Sun.
Oh, yes. Played that a lot.
Billy Swan and I Can Help.
That was a one hit?
Yep. The Starland Vocal Band.
Afternoon Delight.
Right. A one-hit wonder there.
I didn't realize that.
Pat Boone's little girl, Debbie Boone, and You Light Up My Life.
You light up my life. We murdered song titles off mic.
Bobby Goldsboro and Honey.
Was only a one?
Now, that doesn't mean these artists didn't have other records.
Okay.
It was just the other records you could not remember.
Yeah.
Right? Know what I'm saying? Tell me a song besides Honey that Bobby Goldsboro had. It's hard to remember.
That's exactly right.
Okay, one more before we get to the country music one-hit wonders. Bertie Higgins.
Key Largo.
Key Largo.
That was a one hit, huh?
Mm-hmm. That was Bertie's one hit. I met Bertie Higgins one time. I was working at WJCW in Johnson City, and I got a call, and it was Bertie Higgins. And that wasn't too long after Key Largo. And he was driving down Interstate 81 near Bristol and fiddling with his radio and wanted to know if he could come by. And he did, and we had a nice conversation. He reminded me a lot of Bobby Goldsboro, the way, that's why I've got the two together here on my little list.
Right.
Because they remind me of each other.
There was a similar story that I had in Asheville with a guy named Randy Van Warmer. And his one-hit wonder was, You Left Me Just When I Needed You Most.
Just when I needed you most. I remember it.
Yeah.
I sure did.
He was driving through town. At the time, I was married to a lady named Susan, and his name is Randy. So his wife was named. So Randy and Susan went out to lunch that day.
Okay, let's talk some country music, one-hit wonders. And like I said, this does not necessarily mean they didn't have a successful career in a lot of cases. They just had that one hit that people will remember. As an example, our own Western North Carolinian, Bill Phillips from Haywood County.
Right.
Bill had the top 10 hit, Put It Off Until Tomorrow, You've Hurt Me Enough Today. Most every country music fan will know that song,
right,
but can't tell you any other record that Bill had, even though he had some others. And he had a successful career. For years, he was part of the Kitty Wells Johnny Wright show.
Right.
And then he became a solo act and traveled around the country, playing the smaller venues, but very successfully. So when we say one-hit wonders like Bill Phillips, we don't mean they didn't have a successful music career.
By no means. Yeah.
In some cases, they didn't, but in many cases, like in Bill's case, he had a good, solid career. You know, his nickname early on was Tater.
Tater Phillips.
But when he went to Nashville, there were already a couple of taters down there. Little Jimmy Dickens' nickname was Tater.
Yeah.
In there was Tater Tate. Played the fiddle, didn't he? Tater Tate.
I'm not real for me. Bill Phillips, didn't Bill Phillips later on after those hit songs have a place over in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg stage area where you could go see? I think he did. Or he played there a lot. A lot of the artists, Carl and Pearl Butler, had a place over there. A lot of people did.
And I was thinking of somebody else had a place over there, but it slips my... Little Roy Wiggins.
Yes, he did. That's
Little
right.
Roy Wiggins, who was a steel guitar player.
Yeah.
Eddie Arnold's steel guitar player until Eddie went uptown and quit using the steel guitar.
Switched to the violins.
Well, he had Make the World Go Away. And,
I play that a lot.
And those
Then
songs.
You Can Tell Me Goodbye.
Yeah, the songs that were part of what then was called the Nashville Sound. And he stopped using Little Roy Wiggins, and there was some hard feelings there because Little Roy felt like he'd helped make Eddie Arnold with his steel guitar work on the older Eddie Arnold hits. And I talked to Little Roy about that one time down in Pigeon Forge, about his work with Eddie Arnold, and you could tell right off he was not...
Kind of hit a nerve there, huh?
Kind of hit a nerve. Okay, some more. Oh, by the way, Bill Phillips, the first recording that Dolly Parton was on in Nashville was singing harmony with Bill Phillips on Put It Off Until Tomorrow, her very first recording.
Cool news. Who would have thought? That's the first one, huh?
That was the first time that Dolly recorded in Nashville. Her uncle wrote that song, Dolly's uncle.
Okay.
I can't remember his name right now. Bill, I think. Bill Owen. Is that right?
Owen was the last name. I do remember that.
Okay. Okay, here's another one-hit wonder. Tommy Cash.
Johnny's brother.
You're right. Remember his big hit?
6 White Horses?
That's right. The song based on...
Dave is quizzing me. I have no notes over here. I'm not looking up anything.
I know.
And he's hitting me blind here.
And you're sharp as a tack.
I'm old as the hills, too.
That song, 6 White Horses, was based on... we were talking off the air about the 1960s and how turbulent the 60s were.
Right.
And that song was about the assassination of John Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Bobby Kennedy.
I'd forgotten what it was about.
6 white horses come to carry you home.
Yeah.
Tommy never had another hit. He got into the real estate business, though, very successfully in Nashville.
Good.
In fact, he marketed Johnny and June's lake home after they passed on. And still, I think, is still active in real estate in Nashville. Warner Mac.
Warner Mac. Now, you've got me there. I can't.
The bridge washed out, and I can't swim, and my baby's on the other side.
Now I remember the song, but I didn't know who that was.
Warner Mac. The Willis Brothers.
Oh, give me 40 acres, and I'll turn this rig around.
Boy, you're sharp. That was the only hit they had.
Are you serious?
Tell me another one.
I've played that one, but you're right. I can't remember playing another one.
But you know, I booked the Willis Brothers. You know, when I was working in show promotions, mostly at the old Asheville City Auditorium, and if you call these booking agents in Nashville, of course they'd call once they found out you were a promoter, they would call me in a lot of cases, or if I was trying to put together a show, I'd call them. And you always needed an opener for a show or somebody that you didn't have to pay an arm and a leg for to get. Let's say you wanted to book Charlie Pride.
And you did.
And Charlie was a pretty expensive act.
Yeah. But
you needed to fill out the show with somebody else. So I had the Willis Brothers on there one time. The booking agent said, "Oh, you'll love." I said, "No." And they say, "Oh, you'll love the Willis Brothers."
And
I kid you not, they put on one of the best shows I have ever seen on stage. A tremendous show. Vic, Skeeter, and Guy, the Willis Brothers. Of course, They were on the Grand Ole Opry for years. But I have searched and searched. You can find about anything on the internet.
Right.
I have searched and searched, trying to find a live performance by the Willis Brothers.
Can't do it.
And I've been unable to. And I'm amazed that given everything you can find on the internet, that you can't find anything about the Willis Brothers because they were tremendous music artists and had an accordion as part of their act and told jokes and just vaudeville type stuff.
Great entertainers. I have, in my career, run across that several times. where you just thought, I don't know about this, we'll just get through this. And
it'd be a big surprise.
And it'd be a big, pleasant surprise.
How about Ernie Ashworth?
Talk back, trembling lips, shaky legs, don't just stand there.
When that came out, it was under the name Ernest Ashworth.
Okay.
And then the following records were Ernie Ashworth. But he never had another hit like Talk Back, Trembling Lips.
That was a good one. I played that not long ago on my classic country show.
And Ernie, who died just 2 or 3 years ago, took a lot of kidding about his pink suit with the bright red lips that he wore on stage.
Talk back, trembling lips.
I think it's in the Country Music Hall of Fame has that suit on display. But Ernie had a suit that was pink, and it had bright red lips. Of course, in reference to Talk Back, Trembling Lips.
Paid him a lot of money, I'm sure.
And he took a lot of kidding over that suit. Jeannie Pruitt.
Satin Sheets, of course.
You're right. What are other big hits she had?
That's you've got me trained. That's exactly where I was going, and I can't think of one.
That was her one big hit. Now, she had a few other records, but
yeah,
that was her hit. Satin Sheets. To lie on, satin sheets to cry on.
Yeah, I played that not long ago, too.
Bet you don't remember the Hardin Trio.
I remember the name, but I don't remember a song.
Song called Tippy Toeing.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that one. You got me there.
You'll need to pull it up and play it as soon as we finish the program.
Okay,
and you'll recognize it. It was played. I think it even made the pop charts.
Okay.
Mommy tippy toeing through the house or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember the lyrics. What about Leroy Pullins?
Ooh, you stumped me again. Leroy Pullins.
I think this is the first time I've stumped you.
Leroy, I don't know.
I'm a nut.
Doop, doop, I'm a nut, doop, doop, I'm a nut, doop, doop. Yeah. I love the song. Yep. I didn't remember the name. Leroy Pullins.
And those of you who haven't, who want to kick, just pull it up. You'll find it on the internet.
Great song.
Leroy Pullins.
I'm a nut. Doop,
and I'm a nut.
Doop, doop.
Now, here's an artist who had a million seller. A million seller, not just a hit, but a million seller. And was never heard from again. Jimmy Elledge.
Jimmy Elledge. I know that name, but I can't think of the song.
He had the first big hit on Willie Nelson's Funny How Time Slips Away.
Funny How Time Slips Away. Oh, I remember the song now.
Well, hello there.
Yeah. It's been a long, long time.
And he was born in Nashville, as I recall, reading his biography a few years ago. And he, at a very young age, I can't remember, but he was hardly out of his teenage years when he recorded Funny How Time Slips Away on the RCA label. Like I said, a million seller.
Couldn't repeat it.
Never had another hit.
And each one of these artists that we're talking about who had a hit like that, spent the rest of their natural born days trying to repeat that. They did.
But in a lot of cases, if you had a big hit like that, I don't think it was the case with Jimmy Elledge, because I don't remember anything else they ever did, either on record or on stage. But in a lot of cases, an artist could take that one big hit and make a lifetime out of it.
Yeah.
Their signature song.
Right.
You mentioned Carl and Pearl Butler.
Yeah, I was a big fan.
What was their big hit?
Well, they had a couple. Of course, the biggest, I think, was Don't Let Me Cross Over. And if I'm not mistaken, that was a song written by the Wisemans, Mac, or Scotty and Lulabelle. Anyway, Don't Let Me Cross Over. And then they had another called Sundown in Nashville. That was a big hit for them. But, they stretched that into a whole career.
Don't Let Me Cross Over stayed on the music charts. I remember the Billboard charts for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yeah.
Tremendous hit. And they had other recordings, but never
that one. Yeah.
Never one as big as Don't Let Me Cross Over, Love's Cheating Line.
Hey, I'll throw one out at you. I know you'll get this one. Henson Cargill.
Skip a Rope.
Skip
a Rope.
Yep.
Yeah, Henson was a one-hit wonder.
One-hit wonder, yeah.
Yeah. How are we doing on time on this?
Doc, we're at 20 minutes. Maybe we ought to one more?
Let's do one more, and then we'll do some more on the next.
I love this.
On the next podcast. Remember a song called Fools Fall in Love in a Hurry?
Yeah, I do, but I can't tell you the artist.
Jackie Ward.
Jackie Ward.
And Jackie Ward was a one-hit wonder.
Wow.
Yeah, and we have several more
I'm
down
loving
here.
This.
And we have some that people will really recognize when we call their name, and it'll be fun. I think fun for the people listening to this podcast to see if they can come up with the song. So we'll give them a little time after we mention either the song or the artist.
Okay.
And let folks listening, whether they're driving down the road or at home, see if they can put together the artist with the song.
I like this game. I really do. And I appreciate you letting me play. Come back next time, and we'll do some more of this because Dave's got a whole book of these things over here. And we'll come back and do some more on Hot Mic with Houston and Hogan as we explore one-hit wonders.
Be sure to click the subscribe button for another episode of Hot Mic with Randy Houston and Dave Hogan.